to hold 2 hours of office hours per class that they teach per week. It's a great resource to go and ask and get one-on-one help. These are obviously the people that are going to be knowing your assignments and the course the best. The next one is iClickers. This is how iClickers work. I don't know if there's one up here, but there's like a little remote basically. And if the screen is down, it's like showing PowerPoint slides. And they'll ask you guys, they'll say, what tour are you, or what school are you touring today? It says UMass Amherst, UVM, UMass Boston, and Harvard. And if you all say Harvard, then the professor knows that they have to go over that question a little more. If everyone says UMass Amherst and you're the only one that says Harvard, you also know that you should maybe review that a little more, if that makes sense. It's a great way for professors to kind of get to know how the class is doing with material. College students are really bad at expressing emotion, especially in a really big, large lecture hall. Professors sometimes can struggle seeing where the class is at, so that's one of the resources that helps connect students and professors a little more. But yeah, another thing about gen eds here at UMass, which is really cool, is that there's a bunch of different options for different general education requirements in terms of classes you can take. So for example, to fulfill a mathematics requirement, you're not just going to have to take intro to calculus to fulfill that requirement. You can take a stats class. There's even a music theory class or a linguistics class that fulfills the same requirement that a calculus class does. So if you come to UMass and you hate math, there's a bunch of different options for you, so you don't have to take just a calculus class. So some examples of gen eds, there's going to be a social diversity gen ed, a math gen ed, like I said. There's a biological science gen ed, a physical science gen ed, things like that, kind of standard subjects that you maybe have taken in high school, things like that. If you are taking an AP class, I highly recommend you take the exam. We take 4s and 5s from APs for credit, and then some 3s as well. The full list is online if you want to take it, but that really helped me out. I came in with a few credits from my AP classes, and I didn't have to take as many gen eds as my friends did. It also helps you enroll. It's a little tip. It helps you enroll for classes a little bit earlier because UMass doesn't buy credits so that seniors enroll first and then juniors and then sophomores and freshmen. So if you come in with a few credits, you're going to enroll a few hours or a day before your friends do when registering for classes. So that's also kind of a little bonus tip. We also take IB classes and dual enrollment credits as well. Any questions about gen eds? That's a lot. Nothing? All right, well let me know if they come. The next one is classes you'll have to take for your school or college. These obviously are going to be a little bit smaller. As you can see, it's going up on our pyramid. 80% of our classes are under 40 people. So once you get past these gen eds, these are going to be smaller. They might be in a room like this. They might be smaller. It really depends. I also took gen eds that were 15 people, so it kind of just depends on the requirement you're fulfilling. But these classes, hopefully you'll be seeing some familiar faces. Hopefully you'll be liking them a little bit more than your gen ed classes. It's a great way to make friends, network with professors, things like that. In terms of switching your major based, even if it's across schools or colleges, it is really easy, except there's some exceptions. You can't transfer into the Eisberg School of Management. So unless you apply as a business student, you can't transfer into that once you get here, if that makes sense. Then also our School of Nursing, you can't transfer into. You have to apply as a nursing major once you when you first applied to UMass, if that makes sense. The other two majors or schools that can be or not really, but they can be a little bit different or a little bit more challenging to transfer into are College of Engineering and our College of Information and Computer Sciences. You can transfer into them once you get here, but there's an application and kind of a wait list, so it's not as easy as the other ones. But engineering majors love to drop their major. It's a really hard major, so you probably won't have to wait long to get into that school or college. In terms of classes you'll have to take for your school or college, it really depends. An example I'll give you is Eisenberg School of Management requirements. So if you apply as an accounting major, you're still going to have to take Intro to Finance, Intro to Marketing. Every single major that they offer, you're going to have to take the intro class to that major. That's because Eisenberg thinks it's really beneficial for their students to have a little bit of experience in each department, in each field. So that's Eisenberg. For mine, I think I had 2 requirements, but my gen ed requirements overlapped with them, or they overlapped with my major courses, so I didn't even really have to worry about it. So it really just depends which school or college you're in for the requirements you'll have to take for that school or college. Next is your major courses. They're the smallest ones. They're hopefully the ones you're going to be finding the most interesting, enjoying the most. This is a great chance to network with your professors, go to their office hours, talk about their research, maybe get a future letter of rec set in place, things like that. It's a great place to make friends as well. And yeah, again, these are going to be a lot smaller, so they should be a lot less scary, things like that. Any questions? One thing I'll mention that I forgot to mention about Gen Eds, another resource that we kind of have in place, is for your really large Gen Eds that are really scary at sometimes, and maybe it's hard for you guys to like learn information like that. An example of how a bigger Gen Ed might go is on Mondays and Wednesdays you'll be in a large lecture hall, probably bigger than this, or maybe something like this as well. And the professor will be up here and your job is to just sit there and soak in the information. You're not going to have to discuss it with anyone around you necessarily. Your job is to just sit there and take it in, take notes. So that will be on Monday and Wednesday, and then on Friday you'll have a discussion section, which is more humanities-based. There's also lab sections, which are more for like STEM classes. And in that discussion section, they're run by TAs. They're capped at 25. The TAs aren't allowed to teach you any new material, so they're really just there for you to like ask or go over the material that the professor went over the week prior. If there's an essay or an exam coming up, it's a great opportunity to ask them. The TAs are usually the ones doing those gradings for the large classes, so it's a great way to go and ask them for help. So yeah, that's the last thing I forgot to mention. It's also a lot easier to like make friends and ask questions in these classes. It can be a lot less intimidating to raise your hand in a discussion section of 20 people than a big lecture hall full of 200. So that's the last thing I'll say about Gen Ed. Any questions about classes or anything on this pyramid before we move on? Yeah.
So, how do the minors work?
Yeah.
And like, can you take a minor in a different college, like a performing arts minor or something like that, without having to audition for it?
Great question. So minors are really common. Even double majoring is really common, even across different schools or colleges. In terms of specifically like performing arts and a minor, I don't believe you have to audition for it or anything, but that's going to be more like, I'm sure you can find that information on their website. That one might be a little bit different, but minoring is really common. We also have certificates, which are common, which is like just a little bit less of a requirement than a minor, but they're really similar. But double majoring and minoring, even across different schools or colleges, if you want to have like a really various degree or something like that, you definitely can. Any other questions? Okay, next thing I'm talking about, do you guys know anything about BDIC? They didn't talk about this on the information session. Okay, so it stands for Bachelor's Degree in Individual Concentration. It's kind of like a Build-A-Bear, but for your own major. If you kind of have just a really niche specific interest and you know that that's what you want to study, and we don't offer it here at UMass, this can be a great resource for you. What you'll do is you'll meet with an advisor and they'll kind of help you build your schedule through there. You still get the same degree, it's still as valuable as a normal major or double major like that. So if you go to this advisor and they think your interests are more suited with a double major or something like that, they'll tell you. But if not, you can create your own schedule. Every single person who's done BDIC at UMass, their majors are online and archived, so if you want to follow someone else's path, you can. Our popular ones are people studying music management, they do film studies through BDIC, things like that. We've even had some niche ones. We had a cheese making major once, and now he has a farm in Wisconsin, like making cheese. So if you want to do that, you can. You can copy his path, or you can make your own again. So that's a really great resource for students who have a specific interest that they want to study. The next thing I'll talk about is our honors college here at UMass. So since you are all accepted, when you applied to UMass, you didn't have to check anything, check any boxes, write an essay. You were all automatically considered for the honors college. In your acceptance letter, there might be a little blurb that says you were admitted to the honors college. I didn't get that blurb. It's okay if you didn't. Congrats if you did. But basically, there are some benefits of the honors college that I'll highlight for you guys. So the first one is the dorms, which we'll talk about more later. But they are the nicest and the newest, and you have access to live in those dorms if you are accepted into the honors college. You don't have to live there if you were accepted into the honors college, but you are the only ones that have access to. You'll have to take, it's kind of like an umbrella term, the honors colleges, so you're not going to be taking every single, like not all of your classes are going to be honors classes, if that makes sense. You might have 1 or 2 classes per semester that are within the honors department, and then the rest of your classes will be with normal people, normal classes, non-honors. You'll have separate honors advisors that are great resources. Honors classes are just smaller. They're capped at 25, so a lot of students who don't like the big lecture hall style of learning, and they were accepted into the honors college, they'll take advantage of this for the Gen Eds and take honors Gen Eds in a smaller class. They're just a little bit more rigorous, a lot more discussion based, so that's kind of the primary difference. So it's more just like sitting there and discussing versus sitting and listening to a lecture, if that makes sense. So it's just kind of based on your learning style, your learning preference. You're also required to do a senior year thesis if you're in the honors college, and you'll have people that are helping you throughout that. You can also write a thesis if you're not in the honors college, but you kind of just have more support if you're in it. And that thesis looks great on grad school, law school, med school applications if you're looking for that. Any questions about the honors college? Okay, next thing we're going to talk about, it's a little more fun. It's going to be our study away program here at UMass. So 14% of our students study away. We call it studying away, not just studying abroad, because there's more options than just going to another country. So I'm going to start with the closest you can get to UMass from the furthest. So the first one is you can take classes at any of our other 4 colleges that I mentioned earlier, a part of our 5-college consortium. The PBTA takes you to any of these campuses for free, so it's really easy to do so. The 5-college consortium is mostly used by other students of those colleges to come to UMass because we're the best one. They all wish they were UMass students. No, it's because we offer like a more variety than the other ones do because they're smaller. So they come here a lot. But there are benefits for UMass students to go to them as well. Amherst College is a very prestigious school. It's a small liberal arts school, which is very different than UMass. So if you want to just go and kind of dip your toe into what life is like in a small liberal arts college, you can. It's also a lot more expensive than UMass, and you'll still be paying the same that you'd be paying as a UMass student, so that's kind of an advantage as well. Amherst College is known for their language classes, their language program. So if you're studying a language, a lot of students like to go take classes there for that reason. They also have a physical education requirement, so they have some fun classes like a scuba diving class they have. I don't know how they do that in Western Massachusetts, but they offer fun classes like that. So that's kind of a benefit of us taking classes at other schools as well. The next one you can do that's a little bit further from UMass is our domestic exchange program. UMass is partnered with 180 other universities across the U.S., and you can go and study there for a semester if you want. A cool thing about this is I know a lot of you are out of state. You'll still be paying the same, or let me rephrase this. If you're out of state and you go to study in the state that you are from, you're going to be paying in-state tuition. So if I went back to Washington, had my parents like really love me for a semester, I'd be paying in-state tuition as a Washington resident going to school there. But if you are a UMass student and you're from Massachusetts and you go to California, you'll still be paying in-state tuition as a UMass student. So you'll kind of be paying the cheaper of the two. Can anyone guess our most popular state to go to? I feel like you're going to say it.
Florida?
No.
California?
No.
Hawaii?
Hawaii, yeah. Hawaii's the most popular state. You can go to Hawaii for a semester if you want, maybe in the spring when it's cold here, and so you'll be in like 80-degree weather when we're all stuck in these wind tunnels. The second most popular state is Montana, interestingly enough. We have a really good agriculture program here, our Stockbridge School of Agriculture, and a lot of those students like to go to Montana because there's obviously a lot of farmland there. They also have a strong agriculture program, so a lot of students will study there for a semester. But yeah, again, you can go to California, Florida, anywhere. The whole list is online if you're interested in doing that. And then the next one is the most common, studying abroad. So you can go to 6 out of 7 of the continents. We used to have a professor that took everyone to Antarctica, but he recently retired. So unless we hire someone new, you can go to 6 out of 7 of the continents, no Antarctica. The only state we don't offer domestic exchanges and domestic exchange in is Delaware. So no Antarctica, no Delaware, but anywhere else is up to you. It's an option for you. Yeah, there's truly countries anywhere. You guys can, there's a whole portal. We're partnered with a lot of universities over there. You can do an exchange, you can do a UMass abroad, go with UMass students, go with non-UMass students, truly anything. Every single major at UMass can study abroad. So even if you're like a nursing major or an engineering major, you have the opportunity to. It's just a little bit more restricted as to when and where you can go, depending on your major. So for example, our nursing students all go to Madrid their first semester, their sophomore year together. That's because we want them back home at UMass in time before their life gets crazy because they're nursing majors, before clinicals start, things like that. So if you know it's something you want to do and you have like a more rigorous major, we recommend you just go to the Office of Global Affairs as soon as you know you want to do it, and they'll help you out from there. But everyone has the opportunity to do so, which is pretty cool. Also about studying abroad is you'll again be paying the cheaper tuition of the two. A lot of times universities abroad are cheaper than American universities. So you'll be paying the cheaper one if it's cheaper. If it's more expensive, you'll still be paying UMass tuition. If you're receiving financial aid or scholarships here at UMass, it will carry over to your semester abroad. And there's also separate study abroad scholarships you can apply for too. There's also, you don't just have to go for a semester, there's other options. You can also study abroad in the summer. Our winter break here is really long. We have about a month and a half off at UMass, so a lot of students will go in the winter as well. So if you want to go not maybe for a semester and you don't want to miss any of your time at UMass, you can go in the winter or summer as well. Any questions on anything I said? Yeah.
What's the housing situation going international?
So it kind of just depends on the program that you do and the school you do. If you do an exchange with the university, then the housing will be provided by the university itself. Or if you go with like a program, like a study abroad organization, they'll provide that housing with everyone who's doing that program. So it'll be with like other study abroad students. Versus an exchange, you might be living with students who are go to that university if they're from wherever. Does that make sense? Yeah. Good question. Anything else? I'm so sorry. That's so much of talking. Yeah.
Are there any UMass sort of operated destinations internationally?
Yeah, good question. So not necessarily, but we have like partnerships with them, but it's not necessarily like UMass in a different city like some other schools have. But the two most popular places to go are Florence and Barcelona. So if you're looking to like go with your friends or go with other UMass students, those are kind of the most popular places that we see. Anything else? All right, we're gonna move on. I know that was a long stop, but you guys made it.